Hello all my art people, Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Sleepy Kellen here. We are going to show you how to make an art project inspired by Chris Uphues is his name. I will show you pictures of his artwork in just a second, but I just want to let you know that he is a street artist and all of the artwork you're going to see are on the sides of buildings. He is extremely popular in Chicago, so if you ever go to Chicago, not right now when everybody's sick, but when everybody isn't sick, if you ever see any of his artwork on the sides of buildings or in windows of shops, you'll know that it is Chris Uphues' awesome artwork. So let's switch over to my computer and let's look at his stuff right now. So here is Chris Uphues, and you can see he's wearing a Chicago hat because he is very well known in Chicago, and a lot of his artwork are on the windows and walls there. He's posing in front of some awesome, adorable hearts that he has here in front of this window. And down here you can see that he has more awesome artwork on windows for a storefront. You can see more of his face because he doesn't have sunglasses on here. And you can see all of the different kinds of eyes and faces. Some of them are wearing bow ties. You can even see one little bumblebee off to the side. I love it when he adds the little bumblebees. Here are some pieces of artwork on the sides of buildings that are just plain white in the background. Now we're focusing mainly on doing hearts for our project, so don't worry about drawing a banana or a funky looking pineapple. Just worry about the hearts in this. If you really want to draw some bumblebees with your project, you can. I kind of wish I included some. I mean, I guess I always could, but I forgot to do it when I was drawing mine. More bumblebees and more hearts, and you can see some of the rainbows in the background like I have. They're not really, you know, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. They are like a rainbow, but just different orders of colors. Here are some more hearts in the sides of buildings. He's got some flowers in these ones. Oh, there's a cute little tiny, it almost looks like a snail, but I think it's a ladybug crawling up the side of that rainbow. Here are some more hearts. There's no rainbows happening in the background. You can see how much the rainbows really add to it. And the background's not white, so it's harder to see all of the hearts. And you can see that with some of the eyes not being colored in. It's kind of creepy looking. But these are some really awesome pictures of Chris Uphues' artwork. And if you ever get stuck on what you want to do and the piece of paper that has the mouth and eyes on it, if that's not helping you enough, you can always come and look at this document to help give you some inspiration. All right, now back over to me. Kellen, should we show them what we're making today? Yeah? Are you too tired to get on my arms? I think you can get out of my arms. Why don't we grab their art project? Let's show them what we're making today. All right? Here we go. Here's what we're making. We are making street art just like Chris Uphues, and it's going to be fantastic. Let's switch to me showing us the materials we need and the whole process of making it. So to get started on your art project, you're going to need a few things. Paper. I have two pieces of paper actually. I have one for my official piece of artwork, and I also have another piece of paper for practicing on. I have different kinds of colored pencils. I've got special colored pencils, but you don't need them. I just want to use them for this project. Regular colored pencils. I have different sized black markers. If you don't have any markers, you can always use a black colored pencil or a black crayon. And I also have different kinds of markers to maybe make it look a little bit different. So I have some highlighters here, and if you have any other kinds of markers at home, you can use that. And of course, we need a pencil. For my practice piece of paper, I'm actually going to practice drawing hearts. Now, if you are super duper awesome at drawing hearts, you can go ahead and get started, but practicing always makes it easier when we do the official thing. So here's what I'm actually practicing. Not just drawing the one side of the heart and then the other. I'm going to practice drawing the tops, and then I'm going to do the bottom part to the heart. It might be a little easier to draw it that way. I'm also going to practice overlapping some of my hearts. If you remember from Chris Uphues' street art, he has a bunch of different hearts, but they're not side by side by side and perfectly lined up and spaced out. He has them overlapping, some of them are at different angles. So here's how I'm going to draw my hearts to make them the easiest way possible. I'm going to draw two little hills right next to each other. Now I'm sketching just like I always do. It's always a little bit messy, but that's okay. 2 little hills right next to each other, and then I'm going to just take my pencil and draw an imaginary line down to where I want the bottom of my heart. And then I'm just going to finish drawing my heart right to that point, just like that. If you want to do a straight letter V, you can. If you want to make it a little more curved like I did, you can always erase because we have it drawn in pencil right now. So there's one heart. Now I'm going to pretend like I've got one that is behind this heart. So let's just say I have some of it coming out right here, the top part of the hill. We're going to make it just a little bit smaller too. They all don't have to be the same size. One part of the hill, another hill to make it look pretty much the same. Go to the middle of your 2 hills and draw an imaginary line down to where you want the bottom of your heart. And remember, it's behind, so we're just going to pretend like it's going back here and then finish up our heart just like that. Here's how you would do if the bottom part of your heart was missing. All you're going to do, draw your 2 hills, and then the bottom part is going to be right about here. So I'm just going to put one tiny little dot and I'm going to erase that later. And I'm going to pretend like my lines are going there, but since it's behind this heart, I don't have to. There's one side, and then here's the other. And now I'm done with this dot. You can draw and practice as many hearts as you want or need to, but I think I'm pretty good. I don't really have to practice my hearts anymore because it looks like I know what I'm doing. If you wanted to draw your hearts with one side and then the other, you can, but they turn out a little more uneven, and I'm actually not that great at drawing the hearts, so I don't expect you guys to be either. Here's what Miss Ramsey's hearts look like. They're not really the greatest. So, and it catches on my board underneath. So sketching and taking my time and knowing where I want my hearts and where they're going to overlap and where they're not, that's much easier than just drawing hearts as fast as I can. Remember when you're sketching to draw lightly also, so that when you do make a mistake and you erase it, it'll actually go away. Here's a heavy line, and here's a light little sketch line. If I try to erase them both, you can't see my sketch line anymore, but you can still see the heavy line. So remember that when you're drawing. Okay, now I know what I'm doing. I'm going to set this off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on drawing my hearts on my official page. Now on my official page, I don't have to have one heart that has, front and center on the stage and then all the other hearts are behind it. I'm going to make sure I'm making some going some directions and then the other directions. These are going to be really happy and crazy, so we don't have to have one taking over the whole page and a bunch of little ones. I want to have space to be able to make a bunch of really happy hearts. So I think I'm going to start with one kind of going off to the side over here. I'm going to draw maybe another one up here and then some other ones behind it, some of them in front. I'm just going to go ahead and speed up and you can watch me draw all of my awesome hearts. When I get done, we'll talk about faces. So stay tuned for that. Here we go. All right, I think that that's good enough for now. And if I want to add more later, I can. I wanted to make sure that my hearts did not get super small. I think this is probably the smallest heart that I have made. If I make them super duper small, it's going to be really hard to put the eyes and mouths in there to make it look like a Chris Uphues heart. So you want to make sure that they are big enough to do that, but not so big that it's taking over your whole paper. So now we're going to move on to faces. I'm not going to worry about cleaning up any of my really crazy looking lines quite yet. I'm going to worry about that after we do marker. So for the eyes, I'm just going to go around and pick some of my favorite. I really like these ones with glasses. It reminds me of me. I want to put those in there really bad. And I really like some of these really silly faces like this one. So all I'm going to have to worry about is doing whatever mouth I want and then pick whatever eyes you want. If you want to make up your own eyes, you can. Just make sure that it's not like 2 dots like this. That's kind of boring. Make sure it looks more like a Chris Uphues kind of heart. So you can go off of these eyes if you want to, but if you want to make yours a little bit different, go right ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and speed this up while you guys watch me draw the rest. Here we go. While I was drawing this, I found the most difficult part was just trying to make the eyes the same size. So when you pick a style, make sure that they are relatively the same size. They don't have to be exact. If you find that there is a certain style that you are good at, like maybe 3 different kinds of eyes that you're good at doing, or maybe 4 different kinds of mouths that you're good at doing when you're doing your practice sheet, you can try to stick to those ones if you want to. I really switched it up and tried to figure out which ones I liked. I do wish I would have tried to do the eyes on here though, so I could give myself a little more practice. So you might want to do the same thing. So now that I'm done doing all of my drawing part of this, I'm going to go ahead and go over all of my pencil marks with whatever kind of marker, colored pencil, or black crayon that you have. Do not start coloring yet. We want to make sure that we get our black marker down. If you have parts of your eyes that are supposed to be darker, which like some of my eyes look a little creepy that they're not colored in, make sure you leave that little white spot to give your eyes a little shimmer so they're not completely black. And any other parts of your mouths, make sure you color if they need to be darker like I did. Go ahead and put those in also. You don't have to do that with your pencil right away. I just did it in some of the spots, just kind of scribbled it in so I would remember. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Before you start, remember to have a messy mat down. Remember, Miss Ramsey has her messy board. So if you have a messy mat or extra pieces of white paper, please put that down. and then you can start working. Do not get black marker on whatever kind of surface you're working on. Okay, now I can get started. Now I've got my marker done, I can decide what I want to do to color it. If I want to use crayons, I can use crayons. If you have watercolor or paint, you could use that. It's totally up to you, whatever you want to use. Just make sure that if you are painting or using watercolor, that you are not making the whites of the eyes any other color. On Chris Uphues' street art, the whites of the eyes are very, very white. When I'm all done, I'm gonna make sure I go through with my eraser to make sure that I have all my pencil lines out of my eyes to make sure they're really, really white. And when I was using my black marker, you guys probably saw me turn my paper a lot. I was switching it different directions. I was doing that because I am using the natural curve of my hand to make sure I'm getting nice smooth curves on my hearts. If I were just to have my paper straight and try to draw lines and curves with just my hand, it's going to be a lot more challenging. So make sure you're turning your paper, making it sit different directions, and using that natural curve of your hand. Let me take my practice paper. Natural curve of your hand. Okay? If I were to try to just trace over these hearts without turning my paper, it doesn't turn out as good. This side is definitely much more shaky. Make sure you're turning your paper and make sure that you are making sure all of the eyes are the same size. If you have crazy eyes like this one, you don't have to worry. Make sure you leave whites for the eyes. And if you have any teeth sticking out, make sure those are white also. You can see when I was coloring in with my black Sharpie that I made a couple artistic decisions to add or get rid of things. I added some tongues in some spots, and I got rid of some teeth in some spots. I thought he looked a little creepy, so I got rid of that. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start coloring. And I am going to maybe use some highlighters. I'm maybe going to use some colored pencil. We'll just see how it turns out. I will talk to you guys when I'm all done coloring. Here we go. Now that I have that done, I can start working on the background. But before you start working on the background, remember to make sure to get rid of any extra pencil marks that you don't want. But be careful, don't crinkle your paper like you saw me do in the corner over here. Make sure you leave the white to the eyes white, and any teeth, if you want to make your tongues more pink, you can. I just left mine white though. If you only have hearts that have eyes that are shut and no open mouth, you just color right over top of it. It makes it a lot easier. You could see me do that, especially with these two. It was very, very simple. Now for my background, I really enjoy some of Chris Uphues' street art that has the rainbows in the background. But I don't have rainbow markers with me. I do have different color highlighters though. And to make this a little bit different, I'm going to put rainbows of different colored highlighters in the background in just some spots. I'm not going to cover the entire thing. If you wanted to do stripes in the back, you can do that. If you just want to color the background one solid color, you can do that also. It's up to you. I'm just going to have different colored rainbows shooting out of these guys, and then I'm just going to color in the blank space with a different color. So you guys can watch me do that. Here we go. I think mine is good to go. If I color in the background, I think it's going to make this look a little too crazy. And as I'm looking at Chris Uphues' street art, he usually does paint the background white anyways. So I think mine's going to look more like a Chris Uphues if I leave it with a white background. All right, everything is all done. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. I cannot wait to see what you make. Make sure you take a picture and upload it to Google Classroom on the Turnitin spot. I miss you guys. Can't wait to see what you create. Bye!